my name is Liz Curlin. I've worked here in Sycamore Schools for a little over 11 years, and I work in the technology lab. So it's kindergarten through fifth grade. I get to see the kids progress in their technology skills to make sure they have a foundation that's going to really change who they are as an individual throughout their whole life. Technology really shapes everything and anything we do.
You're kidding. No.
I know, right? And I tell them that again and again. I'm like, you go to the grocery store, that person can type. They're using all 10 of their fingers. You're at the doctor's office, your doctor can type and just navigate the computer. So I get to help them through that process and make sure that they're engaged and curious about using the internet to kind of connect and find everything they need to and want to. So I feel like I'm in a lucky position. And then we learn about computer science too. So we introduce coding down at kindergarten.
You're kidding. That's awesome.
No,
wow.
It's great. So, and it's progressive. It progresses, of course. So by the time they're in fifth grade at our school, you can choose to work in JavaScript, or you can choose to play games in Python. And it's amazing that some of the kids who struggle in a regular classroom, they really get that step-by-step logic of what coding offers. So I love my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Liz, well, we will start you off with that question that I told you about again, which is just obviously things have changed significantly over the last couple of years.
Right.
There's been so much upheaval, and technology has clearly been a massive part of that. And so I'm curious, how do you feel like the pandemic has changed you as an educator?
Sure. So as an educator, it actually completely flipped my curriculum. So before the pandemic, I ran a computer lab where kids came in and we had Windows, Microsoft-based computers.
Sure.
And so there was a whole set of skills there, like don't forget to save your file. You lost all your work because you didn't press save.
Yeah, hit the little floppy disk, but somehow still the icon. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I have them hanging in my room. Kids still don't know what they are. I have to point them out. But oftentimes even web-based applications use that, even though there's no context for it.
Yeah.
So we used to teach all of these software things, and now everything's cloud-based. So just the kind of nitty-gritty of how do I hold my computer when I carry it, because now it's portable, where before it used to be there for me. So it's kind of changed my whole curriculum. And I started a couple weeks ago, as we talk about digital literacy, even trying to inform them and like plant that little seed where like, hey, if you don't need that file, you should delete it because it's not in the magical cloud. It's in like a storage facility in a large server. So even those tiny little things. And for the kid perspective, it's amazing how much they took away from the pandemic. Like we see all those memes where adults are forgetting to like mute their camera or mute their mic before they do something silly. The kids did all those too, to like the nth degree during the pandemic, but now they get it.
So that foundation is there at a much younger level.
Absolutely. And I was telling our principal that some of the skills that I teach are, at least even for kindergarten, about 2 months earlier than what I used to teach. So it's moved up that curriculum. I don't have to show them like, oh, this is the speaker button, so it's too loud. A lot of the kids instantly know it coming in, that what the word mute means.
Yes.
And that's like a specialized vocabulary that I think a 5-year-old 10 years ago never would have understood what mute was, but they instantly know that vocabulary. The connection to the world too, like when we first hit the pandemic and they were excited to look at their computer and see their teacher, and this is my background, and we had to talk about what video conferencing was. Now it's kind of an expectation. They already understand that. And I'm sure social media has driven that too, where they know they can pull up any program and Skype people or FaceTime people. But all those foundational skills I used to have to teach, now we can move past them and think about how those connections can help them and help the world, which is great, right? Because now the foundation's out of the way and we can kind of explore.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too for you as a technology focus, because I think about at the elementary school level, I think there's a lot of conversation about like screen time and that stuff, especially when during the pandemic, kids that young were just all day having to be into it just to learn.
Gosh.
So I'm curious how over the last couple of years we've been thinking about like not just how we use our technology, but like where and when, and trying to find a balance of how often we use this and like what is the best use of our time when we are in front of a screen.
Oh, hands down. So one of the things I try to teach my teachers here and coach them through and tell the children as well is just because you can do it on a computer doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yeah.
And when you set out to do something on the computer, you have to know your end goal first. Like, what's your whole purpose? Because if it was just to color a picture, please go grab a crayon. That's going to get you some really good fine motor skills. So having that purpose and having that need, and I actually just had a fifth grader the other day kind of like offhandedly laugh. She's like, my parents told me not to have too much screen time, but Friday I get so much screen time. Is this hurting my eyes? So they're even aware of it. So in the elementary school, kids are always looking for, like, they want you to love them. And because I teach computers, they're like, Mrs. Gerlin, I'm going to go home and play a video game. I'm like, oh, no. Remember, I teach you things here. Now you're going to go home and play outside.
Yeah.
play outside. Get that real world.
They're like, are you sure? I was planning on 6 hours of Minecraft.
Absolutely. And there is educational benefit to Minecraft.
Sure, yes.
I mean, the vocabulary that comes out of there is amazing as you play the game. But yeah, it's important to teach them the balance now and have them understand that even though I love computers, I'm like, I pull out books. I'm like, oh, look, I read this book. It's not on my computer. I go draw pictures. I go enjoy the outside and my friends. And we have like digital literacy and being a good digital citizen in our curriculum all the way down to kindergarten, where we talk about it's time to set it down and go play with friends. So, I mean, even for adults, we have
yes.
we have to balance that. So just like anything in education, we plant the seed now, and hopefully they have a good balance.
Stop doom scrolling. I'm saying that to myself in the camera.
You do not need to watch the next video, even though it pops up. Like, stop it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm thinking of, like, I hate to bring anyone back to the mindset of like March of 2020
sure.
when that happened, but like obviously I'm sure that digital citizenship and digital literacy was a big part of things prior to the pandemic. Do you feel like that's really accelerated now? And then also, if you could kind of talk us through what the March of 2020, putting the plane together while it was in the air was for you.
Yeah. So I guess first how it changed digital citizenship. So yes, there was curriculum before, but now what you're getting back from kids, and again, we were all in a place that we did what we needed to. So the kids have more experience now with online gaming, talking with each other in headsets, playing with kids across the world. And again, when I get to that point and I give them the scenario of someone has said something mean to you online, like, what's your gut reaction? What do you do back? And there's so much negative talk behind the screen that a lot of them now, my digital citizenship again and again is coaching them through, I know they made you angry. You're not going to respond with anger too. So I try to make them think about their digital footprint. If somebody captured that one moment in time, it looks like, number one, you're the instigator.
Yeah.
If you don't have the beginning of the conversation. And just those interactions amongst each other behind the screen where there's that anonymity, some kids instantly...
Hard for adults to wrap their minds around, let alone a second grader. Yeah.
Yes, who just wants to have interactions, and they hear it again and again, that kind of what they call smack talk back and forth. And that has been a huge part of our digital citizen conversation. What do I say back when somebody's bullying me online? What does that look like? And who do I tell? Even down to our second graders, we introduced the word moderator. Like, you tell the moderator of that website. But oftentimes, about half of them already know, oh, I report that kid.
Yeah.
I report that kid. I'm like, oh, good job. You know what to do, but don't say the naughty words back. Report first, and then decompress.
Interesting.
That's tough. So now, March 2020, how we changed, I still joke with my family about this. My children were in 8th grade and 9th grade at the time, and everything shut down. And of course, technology, our little group kind of already had a handle on video conferencing and how to do that sort of thing. But our district as a whole and our parents and our kids they were lost. I mean, unless you did it for your job, a lot of people were lost. So at the time, Google Meets was Google Hangouts, and they were going this conversion. Sometimes people called it Hangouts. Somebody called it Meets. So I told my family, it was like the second day we were at home, said, okay, told my husband to grab his cell phone. I'm like, go upstairs, be on your cell phone. I installed the app for him. I'm like, click on this app and wait for me. I put my dog at the dining room table because my son refused to do it. And my dog likes to sit at the table. So I put the computer in front of him that was a Chromebook. I was on a desktop computer. And I opened a Google Meet and started recording. And I said, and this is how we are going to meet to decide what the kids should do right now. Little did I know Google Meets was going to be like how we then did instruction. I thought it was just going to be for us as educators, this is how we're going to meet. And I said, and you can be on a cell phone. I'm like, Jake, talk on your cell phone. I'm like, turn your phone so they can see how it pans and it changes your picture. I'm like, and you can see my dog too. So I sent it just to our building going, this is what we need to do. This is what I suggest. This is doable. We can do this. And I didn't know at the time that when I sent a North Grove All email, it went to everyone in the district at the administration building. I start getting emails from like the director of special education. Your dog's cute. What? You saw my dog? So all these people were instantly learning not only how to do computers, but I don't think I've ever made so many videos in my entire life. Like, I make instructional videos for the kids.
Yeah.
I do that, so if you're lost and you need to go back, watch my video. But it was bad. So many videos.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So many videos. But, I mean, I still think about that first video I made, and my dog is sitting at my dining room table, and my husband's up in the hallway.
It takes you back.
It does. I'm like, flip the light on. You turn your phone. They need to see this, that we can do this. This is doable. It's hard, but doable.
I'm glad that your dog is now that reference point
Immortalized.
for so many people in the district now.
Absolutely. And all the kids even know, like, my orange dining room table. I'm like, that's where I would sit. They're like, oh, yeah, your dining room's orange. I'm like, mm-hmm. You know it.
All right, well, the last question that we will end you off on.
Okay.
I think that it's obvious that over the last couple of years, education has kind of become more in the national conversation just in terms of news and people having opinions about it.
Sure.
And so I'm curious, just from your perspective, what's something you wish more people knew about what being an educator is? Something that's maybe more important than you think people might realize who aren't in schools every day with kids.
Okay, that's a tough one. I guess the thing that we always go back to is, or I go back to, is number one, we love your kids. Even when they frustrate us sometimes, as they do you, we love your kids. And I get to see them for 6 years here, so it's great to see them grow. But it's hard as an educator to be what we call on. We're like on the stage.
Yeah.
We're watching our language. We're watching.
There's performance to it.
There's performance. Watching our language. We're watching how we hold our body. When we're disappointed in something, we don't get to do the knee-jerk of, oh, that's horrible. We have to self-talk through why we're disappointed and what we should do with that disappointment to help model for the kids. And to be on the stage every moment of the day is exhausting. Exhausting. And I never, because I do love it. I love it. But every time we hit like winter break, and I'm on day 3 of winter break, even my own kids realize like, oh my gosh, you're up and it's past 9 o'clock. I'm like, I know, right? Because I'm not performing all day.
You're probably feeling about ready for that now.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. So the being on all day, there's none of that water cooler time where you get to sit and kind of decompress, or I'm just going to write this email. I'm writing an email while I'm redirecting 5-year-olds while my phone's ringing. So it's exhausting work. I mean, again and again, you'll see that educators love their job.
You're saying you're not in it for the money?
No, I know. Oh, and that is
the vast riches?
Exactly, right. That is a cliche at
Yeah.
this point. But, yeah, it's exhausting. But if we're here, we love it.
Absolutely.